Some of the most valuable places on Earth aren't glittering cities or oil fields. They're small, narrow slices of water where global trade squeezes through, so tight that a single square kilometer can shift markets, redirect armies, and change the course of history. It's not about diamonds, oil wells, or hidden treasure. The real power lies in control. Control of movement, control of resources, control of access. In world history, a narrow pass or tight strait has always been a political pressure point. Imagine waking up tomorrow to find fuel prices tripled, electronic shipments frozen, and half the world's shipping lines suddenly rerouted. That's what happens when a tiny patch of ocean becomes unstable. Today, we're diving into three of the most powerful of these choke points. These three waterways aren't just lines on a map. They're the beating arteries of the modern world. Let's explore why. Let's start in the Middle East. The Strait of Hormuz sits between Iran and Oman, linking the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. If you zoom in on a map, it doesn't look like much, barely a pinch between coastlines. But this narrow passage moves a staggering share of the world's energy. In some years, around a fifth of global oil consumption has traveled through this corridor, averaging around 20 million barrels per day in recent years, along with massive volumes of liquefied natural gas from Qatar. This is where geography becomes destiny. The Persian Gulf is essentially a bathtub for some of the world's richest oil states: Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE, and Qatar. But the only drain out of that bathtub is Hormuz. If you want to ship your oil to Europe or Asia, you pass through this strait. But because everything is squeezed into such a tight bottleneck, the stakes are huge. Hormuz is the perfect geographic trap, close enough to hostile coastlines for tensions to spike within minutes, yet so essential that no one can simply avoid it. Pipelines bypassing the strait do exist, but they can't match the sheer capacity of tankers queuing through Hormuz every day. And this is where the "what if it closed" question becomes more than hypothetical. Even the threat of closure has rattled global markets in the past. If the strait were ever fully blocked, world oil supply would take an immediate hit. Prices would surge, fuel shortages could ripple across continents, and governments would scramble to release emergency reserves. The global economy, from airlines to agriculture, would feel the shock in days, not weeks. Hormuz embodies the harsh math of choke points. The smaller the passage, the greater the leverage. A single square kilometer here, patrolled or mined or threatened, can cost the world billions. Let's shift east to the Taiwan Strait, a 160-kilometer wide channel separating Taiwan from mainland China. It's broader than Hormuz, but its value comes from what moves through it, not how wide it is. On the surface, the Taiwan Strait is a major shipping lane linking East Asia's industrial hubs. Container ships moving between China, Japan, South Korea, Southeast Asia, and the wider Pacific often pass through or near this corridor. But the real treasure isn't in the ships, it's in Taiwan itself. Taiwan is the beating heart of global semiconductor manufacturing. Its companies, especially Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, produce over 90% of the world's most advanced microchips, chips that power smartphones, cars, data centers, medical devices, and military hardware. These chips don't just pass through the Taiwan Strait metaphorically, many are physically shipped out through its ports. That means the stability of the strait directly affects the global tech supply chain. Just like Hormuz concentrates the world's oil, the Taiwan Strait concentrates the world's microchips. If Hormuz is the global fuel artery, the Taiwan Strait is the global digital artery. Now imagine what happens if that artery is pinched. The Taiwan Strait has long been politically volatile. China claims Taiwan. Taiwan insists on its own self-governance. Military drills, missile tests, and political standoffs occasionally jolt the region. And every time they do, shipping insurance spikes, rerouting begins, and tech companies start calculating disaster scenarios. If the strait were ever closed or unsafe, the impact would be staggering. Global electronics production would grind down. Car manufacturers, already vulnerable to chip shortages, would stall again. Prices for everything from laptops to industrial machinery would surge. Entire supply chains would break and take years to rebuild. The Taiwan Strait shows that a choke point doesn't need to be extremely narrow to be extremely valuable. Its power comes from the concentration of high-tech manufacturing that depends on it. One unpredictable moment in this waterway could reshape not just trade routes, but technological progress itself. Finally, we travel west to Egypt's Suez Canal. Unlike the other two, this is not a natural strait, but a 19th century engineering project carved straight through the isthmus. When it opened in 1869, it collapsed the distance between Europe and Asia. No more circling Africa's Cape of Good Hope. A voyage that once took weeks could now take days. That shortcut was transformative. Suddenly, spices, textiles, fuels, machinery, and later containerized goods could flow with unprecedented speed. Over time, the Suez Canal became one of the most important arteries of global trade. Today, roughly 12% of world commerce and about 30% of global container traffic passes through it. Its value lies in concentration. Asia exports massive volumes of manufactured goods to Europe. Europe exports machinery, chemicals, and grain back east. And instead of spreading across multiple long routes, much of that trade funnels through the Suez. Ships here move everything from crude oil and refined petroleum to everyday consumer goods. But the canal's strategic importance became dramatically clear in March 2021, when the Ever Given, one of the largest container ships on Earth, wedged itself sideways and blocked the canal for 6 full days. The world held its breath as satellite images showed hundreds of ships piling up at both ends. That single accident delayed billions of dollars in goods each day. Factories waiting for parts paused production, oil prices wobbled, shipping schedules collapsed like dominoes. It was a real-time demonstration of the choke point principle. One stuck ship in one narrow stretch of water, and global trade missed a heartbeat. So what if the canal closed again? Whether due to war, natural disaster, or another blockage, shipping vessels would have to reroute around southern Africa, adding thousands of kilometers and 10 extra days to many voyages. Costs would soar. More fuel, more time, more crews, more delays. Those costs don't vanish. They land squarely on consumers. The Suez Canal proves that artificial geography can be just as powerful as natural geography. A single slender waterway can hold together entire global trade systems. In a world that feels vast and connected, it's often these tiny, overlooked square kilometers that hold the greatest value. And as long as goods must move across oceans, these choke points will decide how smoothly our global engine runs, or how suddenly it can shudder to a stop. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want more geographical history, please like and subscribe.